All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the live webcast Sales Indaba. It's got to be one of my favorite events. And of course, as we know, prior to pandemic, it was a physical event, a vibrant, full of energy. And it's still the same, except now in the virtual world for the moment. We're achieving the same objective, helping people out there to go out and find big customers, conclude big deals, and grow top line quickly. And that's the essence of Sales Indaba. It represents the number one business challenge in the world, the inability to go out there and find big customers, conclude big deals, and grow top line quickly. Sales is everything. If you have an abundance of sales, cash will flow. And if cash flows, you can fix anything. Marketing, PR, in training, everything in your business. And we know in experience, Shirley, I'll introduce you in a few moments. And of course, Shirley is the highlight of the day. I look forward to engaging with Shirley in a few moments. But before we get there, please let us know where you guys are from. Use the chat box on the right. Post message on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Let's make it really interactive this morning. And if there's any questions that you got, please put them forward. And as we know, sometimes we can't get to all the questions, but if we miss your question, we'll certainly come back to you. But tell us where you're from. It's amazing over the past 2 years and a bit since we arrived into the pandemic, and I think we have a little bit of relief at the moment. I think people are tired of it, but life still goes on. We made that choice 2.5 years ago, or 2 and a bit, that we either stand up and be positive or curl up in a corner and die. But entrepreneurs, that's what they do. They stand up, they adapt, they move forward, and they make things happen. And it hasn't been all doom and gloom for business owners and entrepreneurs throughout the country. And in fact, many and most have prospered. And those who haven't, because of the nature of the business they're in, if you're a great business guy or a business lady and you run a coffee shop and level lockdown 5, no matter how good you are, there's very little you can do. But these people who've temporarily gone down are on the way back. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see. They're resilient, they're positive, and they're making it happen all over again. Llewellyn, good to see you. There's Zama, there's Kevin, there's Obed, there's Beryl. Good audience. And what's amazing is that I see the same people and new people all the time. So people really enjoy this event. But of course, the time has come. I'd like to introduce our special guest, highly experienced Shirley Pearson. She's a business and executive coach, action coach, and it's an amazing topic. And people want to hear this, Shirley. It's all about driving sales and reaching profits at great heights. How to really increase your sales and boost your profits by 46% and 61% respectively. So this is going to be insightful for me. I'm always learning how to find new ways to do that and add on to what we're doing. And, our message to all of you out there, Jacqueline, good to see you. Liana, good to see you. Linda, good to see you. Amazing. And it's always, our objective this morning, if you can take something small out of this morning and bring it into you and your business from today, then we've achieved our objective, and that's the essence of it. And the old thing is we can never stop learning. Self-learning is the ultimate way to get ahead in business. And of course, that's what this is all about. But of course, Shirley Pearson, welcome. As I said, business and executive coach of ActionCOACH. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking your time out and donating your time this morning to help others. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to have the opportunity to share with you some of the things that we find working with our clients.
Absolutely. So, Shirley, I've given 4 key questions here, and to me, I can't see if there's any more we get on to. This is amazing stuff we've got here, amazing content. But I have to start off. We know what the headline of our subject line of our topic this morning is. What are the critical drivers to increase sales and drive profits by between 46% and 61% respectively?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Mark, it's such an interesting thing. There's always so much that can be done. And, there's only so much time. There's only so much money. And what we find is people just get lost in the sea of what can be done. And then, every time you go around the brow, somebody else has got something that works. So then we go down that. Whichever route we go down takes time, energy, and money. And we end up running out of time, energy, and money because we're not sort of stacking up our dominoes. So when I'm working with clients and with business owners, we're looking at 5 areas. And we know that if we can home in on the opportunities around those 5 areas, we will get a fantastic knock-on effect. And I'm hoping to share, obviously, some of the tips of how we do that as well. So, I mean, clearly, if we're looking at profit, not everything that comes into our till or gets paid into our bank account is profit. So, absolute critical driver is what is your profit margin. So that's a huge area of opportunity and must always be stacked up as one of the critical. So yes, we work hard to improve sales, but we need to extract the maximum profitability out of it. Otherwise, really, what's the point? It's that whole idea of turnover is ego and cash is king and what have you. So critical driver number 1 will be the margin that you actually are able to take out of the sales that you generate. And then the nature of the game is get a customer, keep a customer. So we all super hyper focus on getting a customer. How do we get more customers? Do we go digital? What do we do in this space? But we often forget about the people who are already doing business with us, people who already know, like, and trust us. Okay. So we're not retaining our clients as well as we could. And we're not actually making sure that our clients are, the raving fan, so we talk about satisfying our customers, but how many of our customers do we actually delight? And there's a huge difference between satisfaction and being delighted. So the 2 critical drivers of maximizing the value that we get from our customers who love us and who we delight is how often are they spending with us and how much are they spending? Generally, we have one set of products or services which we might engage with a client with to begin with. But normally, there's a range of other products or services that our clients love, they need, they might not even know that we have. So how do we make sure that, yes, once we've got this client, we keep this client, and then we maximize what the value that we add to the client by maximizing what we can actually sell to that client. So those are 2 separate opportunities, retention as well as a number of transactions, how often they're spending and how much are they spending. And you'll see when we unpack a little bit more why it's so useful to actually pay it as don't just lump it all in, because then again, we're getting into the gray area and we don't know where to improve, because all of this is doable, but none of it is easy. And then, of course, we've got to get those clients. And that really has 2 critical factors that determine how successful we are in terms of getting a customer. And the one is the number of leads that we're able to generate in any given week, any given month, and how successful are we at converting those leads. So if we can generate thousands of leads, we know the digital space is so frustrating, lots of likes and shares and where's my customers, but you've got to take that lead generation to actually convert it. So how do you do that? And again, 2 opportunities. Are you as a business generating enough leads? And then what percentage of those leads are actually converting? Because obviously lead generation is expensive. It costs money. You've got to make some form of investment. So you want to know, if you understand what your conversion is, there are all sorts of critical questions that come into that conversation as to, have we got the right leads? Because the wrong leads are not going to, doesn't matter how good a salesman we are. And then, of course, what I often find in the sales space is, we do a lot of sales training around how to sell. But normally, in my experience, is we don't have the activity. We don't have the lead generation. People are not having enough conversations. So it doesn't matter how good you are as a salesperson. You've got to accept. I mean, if you dominate your market at 5% of the market is yours, let's say, I don't know what you'd be satisfied with. That means 95% of people in your market who need your products and services are not going to do business with you. Okay, so you've got to be having enough conversations to make sure that you can actually have the benefit of being the fabulous salesperson. And so, I find that if I look at where are we dropping the ball in terms of acquiring new clients, often I find it's less around our ability to convert, although there's huge areas of opportunity there, and more about the fact that we are not engaging sufficiently with our target market, having sufficient real conversations often. We've got used to, and this is one of the downsides of the digital space, is that we're engaging with people, our potential customers, are far away from us. And the further away they are from us, the longer they take to convert, the less likely they are to convert. As they come closer to us and we have more conversations with them and we engage more directly with them, we're far more likely to actually end up with a customer. So the 5 critical areas, just to summarize it, is extracting maximum margin out of the sales that you do have in the till, making sure that if you've got a customer, they're spending often with you and they are spending as much as your value that you can offer them is available to them, and you're making sure that you're getting maximum sales out of that. And then, of course, to get the customer, how many leads are you generating? How do you go about that? And then how successful are you at converting? So those are the 5 areas that one needs to understand in order to drive profitability by 61% and sales by 46%. So, Mike, I hope that's as clear as mud.
It's always, it's like getting to know how to smash your customers' expectations. You're 100% right, Shirley. I think too many out there are there's nothing wrong with new business, but first of all, the priority, it's a lot cheaper keeping your customer than losing it. And if you can combine that with getting new customers and keeping your customers, I think that's the essence of really, and doing the right activity in order to, of course, convert those sales.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
When I talk to business owners, and for some of us have been around in business a long time, and I say to them, what would your business look like if you still had every customer shopping or buying from you that you have done business with over the last 20 years, 30 years. And let's do a Warren Buffett. Let's fire the bottom 10%. He says, lose the bottom 10% every year, because as you get better at it, add better value, you can look for a better quality client. So let's retain 90, the proverbial 80%. And I just see the business owner going white at the thought. It's like, oh my word, just grey, so white, grey at the thought, oh my word, had I kept 80% of all my clients during the lifetime of my business, what would my business look like? Absolutely. So, the past is in the past. Let's hit it going forward, though.
Yeah. And learn how to fire your bad customers. People laugh at me when I say that. I've got another good, no, Shirley, that's fantastic. But where do we start? Where should you start?
Okay, so of the 5 ways, you start from the bottom up. Maximum profitability from the sales that you have. Okay, that's where you start. Because if you've got it in the till, you've got it in the till. Where are you leaky bucketing and unwanted expenses? Where have you not negotiated better prices with your suppliers? Where are you losing margin unnecessarily? So that's where you start. And most certainly, COVID did us quite a lot of, it pushed us on this one. It forced us to look at a lot of those little old expenses that we'd been living with, the 200, the 300, the what have you, but adding up over the years. So COVID did do us a service in that regard, I found. So then the next lot up is, are we retaining the clients that we've got? Just the conversation we were having, about, are we getting a client and then leaky bucketing them out, because, we all want to our new best friend. So we've forgotten about this guy that we've just brought on board. So most certainly maximizing the value that you get and give to an existing client, So average rand, what we call average rand sale, as well as how often they're spending. Are they doing all their shopping with you in terms of what your product or service, or do they only have a little bit? And are they coming back? Are you bringing them back, So that's where you start. Then you get into lead generation, because as I said, lead generation and converting your leads will all take you some money. Lead generation costs money. If not pure cash, most certainly in time. So you don't want to be investing in that and then leaky bucketing them out. You want to get them and you want to retain them and get the most value out of it. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm looking very carefully at the existing client bases. How often are they shopping? Are we bringing them back? Are we retaining them? Are we getting maximum value out? Because if I can get that part of my business right, now when I invest in lead generation, that new customer is worth so much more. Because the average rand sale is more, the lifetime value is more, because I know once I've got my A clients on board, I don't lose them. I make sure that I keep them. So, it makes no sense to go and start spending money on lead generation where you're going to get it, leaky bucket, get one, leaky bucket, So it's one step forward, half a step back, two forward, one back, So yes, we want to go flying out there into lead generation, but it's worth just tidying up your house a little bit with what you've got. And then you'll also know the answers to how much can you spend, because actually you now know what a client's worth to you. You know on average what a sale's worth to you and what a client's worth to you, both from a purely transactional point of view as well as from a lifetime value point of view. So I hope that answers that question.
100%, Shirley. Thank you for that insight. Now, how do you know how much to invest in sales and marketing? We get this question all the time. How much should I invest in sales and marketing?
Yeah. Well, you see, I think that the biggest problem that most business owners have got is they don't know what a client is worth to them. So without knowing what your client is worth to you, okay, it's very, very hard to say how much you should be spending. But if you understand that my average sale, when I have a transaction with a client, my average sale is worth 100,000. It's worth 10,000. It's worth 1,000. It doesn't matter. Businesses will have a range depending on the type of business. And yes, there are the big sales, and then there are the small sales. So people say to me, well, but Shirley, some are 100,000, some are 1,000. So what does that mean? At the end of the day, if you understand the average, okay, and you're beating averages and your averages, the averages tell you a story, you can work on that. So you don't want to overcomplicate this. I mean, sometimes it might be useful if you really have a difference in your products or services, that you have, a lot that are at the higher 100,000 and a whole lot that are at the 1,000, let's say. And maybe you would want to understand what the average of that client is worth and the average of those types of clients are worth. So that would normally be around the various services or department or something like that. So you've got to make sense of what your own figures, because what you're looking for is figures on which you can make better business decisions. So what is an average rand sale? Because if you know an average rand sale is worth 10,000 rand to me, then it means, well, to go and actually now spend money to get that sale, to get that client, how much can I spend? Now, the other critical number you're going to need to know is your margin, because your sale isn't going to pay for the advertising or what have you. It's your gross profit that's going to pay for it. So you're going to have to look and say, okay, so how many then, if I understand those, I now know how much I need to sell in order to actually buy my customer. So we need to start thinking about acquiring new customers from the point of view of buying a customer. And how much can I spend? It depends. There's only one answer to that in sales, is how much do you get back? So if I spend 10,000, Do I get 9,000 back if I get a customer? Do I need 5 customers? Do I need 10 customers to get that back? Because if I'm not getting back more than I'm putting in, clearly I'll go out of business. It'll be a short game. So how do you know what's been? You need to understand 2 things. What is an average rand sale worth to you? What is a customer worth to you? Both through the number of transactions as well as over a lifetime. And then, of course, if you understand the margin, you're then able to say, okay, so if I'm going to, should I invest 10,000 Rand, for example, in some advertising? Okay, how many customers does that ad need to bring me in order to make that 10,000 worthwhile? Maybe I'm only going to break even on the first customer, but I know my lifetime value is 100,000, so then it's worth it. So you've got to know your own numbers in order to do that. Now, the other thing that I think that gets people really confused is we've got a brand build. Now, we're talking sales here. We're not talking brand building, okay? You need big budget to brand build. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't brand build. You want to build trust within the marketplace, all of those things. And social media obviously has given us a cheaper way, but with cheap, it's also a longer distance way of engaging at that level. So there's room for brand building. There's room for building trust and using the various platforms for that. But when we're talking pure sales, we're not talking the brand building side of it, if that makes sense. So how much you can invest, it depends on at the end of the day, what do you get back when you bring a customer on? And you just have to be in that game. You would say, okay, if I can spend my 10,000 Rand, and even if I break even on month 1 and I get 10 in, or perhaps it's going to take me 3 months, but within 3 months, I need to have this return. Then you can answer your own question. And I mean, take an easy example, Mark. I do it with, a sales rep. Should we hire a rep, Okay, well, how much is that rep going to cost you? No, cost to company 50K. Okay, what is your margin? Take 50K divided by your margin, and that'll say, right, that's the sales that rep's got to bring in simply to pay his salary. You've made no additional money out of it. Can you sustain his salary or her salary for 3 months? Because, you might hit it lucky in the first month, but normally to get a rep going really well, you probably need to give yourself a window of 3 months to see a proper return on investment. So you can then say, well, can I invest 150,000 with that rep, because I believe that at the end of the 150, they'll have brought me X number of clients at Y value, and now we're breaking even on my rep. And I mean, generally, I like to try and get my clients at least to be breaking even on their rep within 3 months. They've got to be really close to it. Otherwise, I'm going to be bleeding. I need a big bank account to go longer than that. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, Shirley, 100% right. You've got to analyze the numbers, before just going out there and hire someone. And I think that does make sense. And you're 100% right. Over the years, we also have estimated three months to break even. But it goes beyond breaking even. It's, what is that typical sell worth? And what does that salesperson need to do to get that? And I just think those numbers are important to understand. Thank you for that insight, Shirley. Now, Shirley, can you share some of the top strategies that your clients have used to increase sales and drive consistent bottom line profit?
Yeah, I love the word consistency, Mike. I mean, that's probably the biggest failure that we have. Is, unfortunately in the modern world, it sort of always feels like we should be able to do it overnight. And, we get shown the pictures, we don't get the video. So, often business owners underestimate the length of time and the consistency required. So I think it might be worth for me to just share my screen and just unpack those 5 ways. And as I unpack the 5 ways, just talk through some of the strategies that that we've found that have worked. So just in terms of there, your 5 ways are, okay? So we've got the purpose of the motor cars there, you might ask, is that we talk about your business chassis. So, these 2 vehicles, apparently I'm not what you call a petrohead, but I'm told the men would know the answer to this, I think, is that the Porsche and the VW have the same chassis. And you get to decide. So there's 5 ways, these 5 areas of opportunity, we talk about them being your business chassis. So if you have a look there, you've got it starting at the top, the number of leads that I'm speaking about, multiplied by your ability to convert them. Then you've got your customer, number of transactions, how often are they buying, how much are they buying, gives you your turnover, your revenue, and then your profit. So this is what it looks like when we start chunking that down. And if I can show, and just an example, what I really, really encourage anyone on the call to do is to go back to your businesses. Take a screenshot of this, okay? Because honestly, this is the most important chassis you will understand about your business. Is find out, if you don't know these numbers, you are not in control and you are not driving your business in terms of turnover and cash flow. So have a look at your business and say, okay, well, how many leads do I generate? And with lead generation, I like my clients to be able to tell me on a weekly basis how much they're generating. But this is just an example of a business that has 400 leads, a 25% conversion. Customers are spending twice a month. They're spending on average 1,000. So I've got a 200,000 turnover, and of that 25% is profit. So when we're looking to improve those 5 areas, we want to actually look at each one, starting from the bottom, as I said, profit margins up, to see if we can improve it. So this is what happens to the business if we're able to improve each of those 5 areas by 10%. Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. So obviously profit margin, starting at the bottom, as I said, up, how do you extract profitability? And there you do want to look at your expenses. You really want to drill down and see where are the expenses within your business that you don't need. You also want to look at what you're charging from a price point of view. I mean, I find all too often business owners are very nervous of charging fair value. And I don't know in Johannesburg, but most certainly Durban is a very price-sensitive market. But I find that really at the end of the day, if you think about your product or your service, here's a lovely challenge to you. Are there people in your market selling your product, your services, charging more than you are? And generally, I've never had someone say no to that. So then the next question is, well, obviously they're selling a better product or service. Everyone, no, not at all. No way, mine's far superior. Then why aren't you charging a fair value? So with profit margin, the area is a sweet spot. Yes, obviously extra expenses is a nice strategy to look at. Obviously, negotiating good deals with your suppliers is a great strategy. But all too often, to be perfectly honest, in our experience of working with business owners, it's about helping them get clear as to the value that they actually are charging in the marketplace and getting them to charge a fair value for their product or service, which generally ends up giving us an opportunity to actually increase prices. And we don't have the fallout because, I mean, you can't be stupid about that. It's about fair value. So those would be my top 3 strategies there. If we looked at the average rand per sale, so here really it depends. In all of these, it obviously depends on your business. So some strategies will work in one business, others won't. But I mean, absolutely critical. Do your clients or your customers buy everything that they need that you sell? I just find that is just a huge area of untapped potential where we are just not positioning correctly what all we do. And it's very important to actually have those discussions and make sure that your clients know. So, the type of things that work well is take your client base and look and say, what are they currently buying from you? Potentially, what else could they be buying from you? And get super focused on that. And then say to yourself, well, where's the opportunity to actually improve, to have that discussion with them, to also obviously get them using you for the other products and service. In the retail environment, of course, you've got the whole bundling thing that goes on. So can you create the bundles? The proverbial upsell, everyone knows about it. I mean, I worked with a group of KFCs a few years back. And I mean, this is nothing people don't know about. And people talk about it all the time. But we were able to increase, the items just that we were tracking by over 800,000 in this particular organization, of which a good 400,000 is a straight bottom line profit. And there's 3 critical areas in terms of it. Get clear about what you're upselling. Make sure that you have scripts and ways in which you position the upsell. And then the third leg of it, test and measure it. So actually track it. How well are you doing? Because as soon as you start putting attention on how well that upsell is going, you'll be surprised at how much more value starts coming in. So again, you've got to have a strategy, you've got to have a process to make it work. And rather get that process and at least give yourself a quarter to actually see if that's working, see if the team are really delivering on that strategy before you just head off onto the next one. Number of transactions. Okay, so many beautiful opportunities here. All right. How do you keep contact with your database, with your clients? I hear people sort of say, well, I get a lot of word of mouth referrals, and I say, how was it? And so how's that going? They say, well, not so well. And it taps off because your competitors are having discussions. They're talking to your people. So how do you talk? Do they shop once and they never hear from you again? And I mean, how creative are you? How engaged are you? Are you just bombing them off with a spamming newsletter every month that no one's really finding terribly useful? So just give me a sec before we close it. I just want to get up this. I want you to just get a couple of pointers in each of these areas whilst you've got it on screen. So if you've got how often you're bringing them back. So yes, it's retaining them, getting the database in. But the other part of that is that, do you understand the sales cycle of your client? So let me give you a very easy example. If you're a hairdresser, us ladies should have our hair done every about 5 weeks or so. Left to our own devices, we're into every 7 weeks. Now, if you can actually make sure that I come in every 5 weeks, you get 2 extra hairdos out of me, 1 client a year. Now take that into your client base, and even if you get 50% of the ladies at an extra 2, what does that look like? Now, obviously, that's a short sales cycle. When you're into a longer sales cycle, you may be selling equipment, a motor car, what have you. You're going to have a system in place to make sure that when that car, for example, needs replacing, the salesman's on the line. Hi there, Mike. You know what? I know that you've had your car for 2 years now, 2.5 years, and it must be coming up to 100,000. And I was just thinking of you and just wondering whether I could pop around and bring you the latest whatever and take you for a spin and just see what you think, and catch up with you. This is the name of the beast. So you've got to look and you've got to say the number of transactions, where are the opportunities within your business? Because in this example, you're not looking to go to 100% improvement. You're only looking for that 10%. Right, moving up to the next thing, conversion. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So where are the opportunities around that? So what is your sales process? What are your sales touches? How do you take people through a sales process so that you can take them from people that they've only just heard of you to actually wanting to do business? How do you position your quotes? Follow up. I mean, if you look at the stats on the follow ups, the number of people that follow up, it's like 2% follow up after three times. And yet statistically, people have got to be followed up on, I think it's 13 or 14 times before they do business. So we just don't stay in the game long enough. We put the quote out, we make all that effort, but we don't have follow up to make sure that when the client is ready to actually buy, we're still in the game. We've moved on. All right, and then lead generation. The lead generation is, you got to look. So we want our clients to have 10 lead generating strategies being done 10 different ways. And no business, in my experience, is able just to go out there and have 10 firing, okay? If you've got one or two, have a look at them. How well are they working? How many leads are they bringing in? Can you improve those strategies? Or if they're not working, can we ditch those strategies? And then once we've got that working well, can we bring in the next strategy? And typically the sort of strategies, repping strategy, have we got reps out there, people calling on our customers? How well are we doing? How well are they meeting their numbers? How well are we managing them, etc.? Strategic alliances, people who are doing business with your ideal client base that you don't compete with. So, interior decorator, an architect, those kind of builders, they move around the same clientele, but they're not in competition with one another. So can you forge relationships with businesses that share similar client base, that you can have mutual benefit from that? The digital space works really well for some businesses. It really is. The B2B business is terribly difficult in my experience in terms of lead generation, lots of likes and shares and that kind of thing. But, from a pure sales point of view. But in areas where Instagram, has an impact, so weddings, team building, beauty, those kind of areas, I'm finding clients are getting great results from the sort of digital space. So, I mean, Mark, I don't know if anyone's got any questions maybe in their business, that kind of thing. Thanks if we could stop sharing the screen. But really the illustration I wanted to show with that screen is just a 10% improvement has that knock on. So if you say, well, 46% improvement in sales, like, oh, come on, really, that's just rubbish. But if you say, okay, you have leads, yes, maybe they're on 400, but every business currently has some leads coming in. If you don't, well, there's is a problem. So can you get 10% better? And 10% is never that much in a particular business. You currently have a conversion rate, get 10% better. Each of those areas, you currently have an average rand sale. There's nothing on any of those figures that you don't have in your business. Understand what they are and then say, how do I get 10% better? Either improving on what I'm currently doing, or if I've maxed out what I'm currently doing, what can I add to that to get better at it? So I'm hoping that that's quite a lot of stuff. But if there's anyone particularly who's got some particular questions, I'd be happy to discuss that as well.
Shirley, thank you for putting up that slide. Sometimes slide presentations don't work well, but that was really important slide, those two slides. And I think it just displays the reality about what works. And, the discussion this morning is meaningful. It's insightful. It works. If you choose to work, and I think these kind of trends and strategies need to be adopted. And thanks to Paul West, in today's challenging sales market, it is about that. And let's see if there's any questions coming through on your business. Well, so the big thing is that, of course, this presentation will be sent to everybody. Please go through it. That's all my questions I have for Shirley. If there's anything coming on the chat, we can quickly pick it up. Shirley, I'm not sure if you can. Excellent advice, Shirley. Thank you very much, Nicolene. There we go. What are some of the best strategies to keep clients closer to the business after sales are done? Here's a good question.
Well, how often do you have conversations with your clients? It's one of our modern day failings, because we've got all these long distance ways of keeping contact with our clients. We can bomb off emails. WhatsApp's a little bit more personal. We can send newsletters. So we're doing long sort of, touch points. And obviously you've got to systemize and you've got to be practical about it. But depending on what a client's worth, and you have some clients that are worth more. Some are worth the odd phone call. How are you doing? What do you know about your clients? At the end of the day, people do business, people they know, like, and trust. So it depends. If you obviously, in the retail space and stuff, it's very difficult to have that as consistent. But most certainly bigger, meatier clients, don't be afraid of how are you doing.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I mean, like you've displayed, we've got to be a little bit more scientific in our approach to sales, and to understand where we've been, the conversion rates, what we need to do based on the past to get a better future ahead of us. So, and it is, I mean, sales is a hugely important area. To me, it's the most important. With sales, you can do almost anything. And like you put it here, what you put forward here, Shirley, it's simple, it's easy to adapt and adopt, and it will make a massive difference. And a 10% change can give you a 46% growth. And I mean, that's what we're all in business for. That's why a business owner and entrepreneur runs their own business, to achieve these so they can have a better life for their families. And so I think the big thing is, I know one or two comments that it seems quite daunting. Take the presentation, look at the slides, start off slowly, keep it simple, the magic of tiny steps, and make it happen. And of course, that's the key. So Shirley, I want to say thank you very much to you and Action Coach. I really enjoyed it. It was inspiring and really meaningful. And, I spend my life learning, and I've learned a great deal more this morning. And I hope to all our attendees out there, thank you for joining us. It's because of you people out there, amazing entrepreneurs, that we can do what we do. And Sales Indaba is a big part of our future strategy. It's about helping you out there to go out there and find big customers, conclude big deals, and grow top line. And also internally, how to increase your sales, how to increase your cash flow, and of course, boost your profits. So to everybody out there, thank you very much. Shirley, again, thank you very much. It's been amazing, and you've taken your time out this morning to, of course, demonstrate really important insights. So I really thank you, and of course to all our guests out there. Any closing words from you, Shirley?
Yeah, so I agree. The thing of daunting is break it down. So how do you eat the elephant? One step at a time. So just, one bite at a time. So just chunk it down. Get some numbers. That would be your number one starting point. Get some numbers on the 5 ways, and then say, okay, where's my area of most opportunity? Let me get that working. Then where's my next? Once that's working, add it. Just, don't get yourself overwhelmed. Brand building, somebody asked the question, Mark. We love brand building. You need the budget and you need the sales to sustain it while you're brand building. So I love brand building, but you need a budget for it. And you can't be waiting for the brand build and going out of business because you don't have the sales. So that's your balance.
Absolutely. 100%, Shirley. Like you say, keep it simple, but start doing the right stuff. And today, you've given us that reason to do it, and you've shown us exactly what we need to do. So the important thing is, don't think about the whole picture. Start off with something small and then move forward. Shirley, again, thank you very much. To all our attendees, thank you very much. I know we will see you all soon again. Have a great day further, and all the best. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.